everybody, and welcome to the Jersey Comic Krew. We bring you the news and reviews of your favorite comics, movies, and TV shows. As always, I'm Rob Moran, and with me is
Chris Heller.
We got a great show for you today. We got to talk about the Morbius trailer. We have to talk about the Black Widow trailer.
Yes. We have two trailer times today.
Yes.
Two trailer times.
An update on what exactly the Eternals movie is.
Yes.
Oh, did you forget that the
you're wearing my
CW
hat?
Crisis... What?
That you're wearing my hat? I'm sorry. We were talking about... And the CW Crisis...
And we're talking about the CW Crisis just finished. But
Rob's ashamed of his haircut.
Yes, that's why the hat is on. So... Without further ado, we're not going to talk about my beautiful hat.
He shoots daggers at me for mentioning that.
Yes. We're going to jump right into the Morbius trailer.
Morbius!
So, guys, you're about to watch the Morbius Sony movie trailer with us, and we're going to tell you what exactly we think about it.
Yes. I'm sure this will be lovely.
Oh, behind the scenes. Here we go.
Doop-a-doo.
Go.
Michael, I've known you since you were a child. You have a gift.
Looks good.
You always have. If there's an answer
Jared
to
Leto's
the
an attractive
disease,
man.
you'll
I
find
can't stand him. I don't think he is.
Really? But not there.
No, not in general.
I should have died years ago. Why am I still here if not to fix this? I have a rare blood disease, and I'm running out of time.
Not Michael Morbius.
This could be my last chance.
It's like an evil Batman almost.
You're up to something.
Man,
What is it?
this is more the story of Man Bat.
But that's not exactly legal.
This is boring.
I don't want to see you get hurt more than you already have.
I thought that was Jennifer
Be a
Connelly.
cure.
See, this I thought it was a little shit.
Also, by the way, that's not how vampires are. If you cut your hand like that makes no sense.
At what cost?
Let's throw out all the
I
names.
went from dying to feeling more alive than ever. Increased strength and speed.
Playing bed. Very Nightcrawler.
That is
The
cool.
ability to use
It's not Nightcrawler teleports. It's just running really fast.
It looks like
and overpowering urge to consume blood. How far are we allowed to go? To fix something that's broken.
Tyrese fixed it. Did I just see Tyrese?
Until the remedy
I like that. A lot of people thought
is
he was
worse
Doc Ock.
than the disease.
That looks good.
Visual, yeah. Special effects.
Michael Morbius. Got tired of doing the whole good guy thing. What's up, Doc?
All right, Rob, feel free to go first.
Well, it looks... I'm intrigued.
Hey, this is a safe area.
You don't make it feel safe.
I'm sorry.
You made fun of me because I'm wearing this hat because I have bad hair. Listen, it looked crazy.
No,
You're welcome, people.
This is a safe area.
All right.
Give your opinion, and I'll just grab it.
I personally... stop it. I like the trailer.
There's nothing wrong with liking a trailer. Like, I loved the Spider-Man 3 Sam Raimi trailer.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a terrible movie.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
Let me say my piece.
Do your thing.
So I like the trailer. I like seeing the rise of Michael Morbius. He's a character that's more niche in the comic books. A lot of people don't really know of him unless you're a big comic reader or if you're a fan of the Spider-Man animated series. This one is going to be a more realistic, well, not realistic, I should say more of a normal interpretation of a vampire. We see him. He has the claws. He has bloodlust. He doesn't have those weird suckers on his hands where he sucks out the plasma. So
might have helped.
I'm glad they didn't really give that. A lot of people are giving this movie a lot of disservice, and they're saying, it's going to look bad. It looks terrible. It looks like a movie that should have been out 10 years ago. And I see what they're saying with that aspect, right? Because, same thing with Venom. It kind of gives you that Blade Trinity vibe. It has that darker style. I'm curious to see how they're going to take this and turn it into like an anti-hero. Because we can kind of see him like, he's very sick and he's trying to cure a blood disease. And he follows the vampires these bats into a way to cure himself. Kind of like how we got the lizard, right? Mm-hmm. So he's doing his own version of that to cure himself. And then he just goes dark. Looks interesting. I like the visuals. I like seeing him run against the walls. I thought that was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I understand people would say it's Nightcrawler, but I think of in Overwatch, Moira, you might not know this, but like she kind of like phases. So it's like very vampire-esque, and especially in like Underworld or other movies.
Underworld, Underworld,
when they run really fast, it almost looks like a shadow.
Yeah.
I think we're just seeing that scene in slow motion.
Or like Castlevania.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what that ball thing is. I'm curious about that. I don't know if I hate that. The only thing I know I could say that I did not like about this trailer is when he cut his hands and all the bats came. But maybe they're going to explain it in the show. But like,
Bruce Wayne was
these are like a unique set of bats. They are, driven by blood. They're scavengers. I'm sure they could explain it away.
If they do.
And now the big thing that, I know I want to talk about, Chris wants to talk about, and you want to hear us talk about, is Michael Keaton, a.k.a. probably the Vulture in this. I like it. I think that's probably the deal that Sony and Spider-Man had to do. I think this is going to operate in its own pocket of the MCU. So, like, Spider-Man could come into these movies and do what he wants, but none of these are going to necessarily affect the other MCU characters. I have another theory about the poster on the wall that we saw. Mm-hmm. So, that's Sam Raimi's Spider-Man suit from the PS4. I'm sure if you guys are already watching this trailer or have seen other people, you've heard about that.
Was it PS4 Spider-Man or was it the original movie Spider-Man? I thought it was the original movie Spider-Man.
It's the suit from the original movies displayed in the PS4 game.
Okay, that makes... Okay.
So people are like,
because you could get that suit in the game
correct.
As well, yeah.
People are assuming, somebody made an error. Haha, look at Sony. This is so stupid. Could be. The other version is like, this could be the beginnings of a Spider-Verse. This happened in this Sam Raimi Spider-Man world. There's some evidence to back that up. I think it's just happening in its own individual pocket, and that is just a suit. I think that they made a mistake, and they'll change it. That's my opinion. All right, so go ahead.
I don't think it's a mistake. I think it's there on purpose. I don't think we know why yet.
Easter egg, maybe? Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, or just something there. I'm on the opposite end of the Michael Keaton cameo.
You don't think it's Vulture?
No, I think it's Vulture.
Okay.
I don't think they should have shown it. I think when you do a movie like Morbius, which is, as you said, extremely niche, like it doesn't really get more niche than Michael Morbius. He's not even really, at least anymore, a C-list villain for Spider-Man.
They haven't touched him in years, yeah.
Most people don't even know anything about him besides the fact that he's kind of a vampire and kind of not, and I used to have a relationship with Felicia Hardy, who becomes Black Cat, then he becomes Morbius. You first see him in Amazing Spider-Man 101. It's also the same one where Spider-Man has 6 arms.
Yes. I remember that scene in the animated show. That was pretty gnarly.
Yeah, in the animated show they do it as well. And they actually do like the kind of origin story of Michael Morbius in the animated show. But if you're doing a movie like Michael Morbius, which is that niche and that specific, you need, like any movie, it doesn't matter if it's a superhero movie or whatever, that movie has to stand on its own legs. And when you bring in a cameo this soon to a movie that not a lot of people think it's going to work, or not a lot of people are like, hey, I don't want or need this movie. This is, to me, a movie, and I think to a lot of people, this is Sony keeping up their end of the contract so they get that Spider-Man money from Marvel.
I think with this, I see the point. And normally I would be on the side of don't show the big cameo.
Also, give me that in the movie so I can have that shock value of like, oh my God, cool, Michael Keaton's there.
I get it. But I think in this they have to, because of the public backlash that both Disney and Sony got because of the whole Spider-Man ordeal. They need to show this, like, hey, this ties into the MCU. That's why they showed it behind the minds of Homecoming and Far was it? Far Away?
Far From Home.
Far From Home. Sorry.
I don't even think that. I think they were just throwing that out there to be like, hey, look, we're also a part of these.
That's right. Yeah, I think they're doing that kind of damage control. But like, all right, yeah, look, he's here. Another reason you should watch this movie. Now, the average fan who just watched the movies are gonna be like, oh, this is connected.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I knew it. I can't believe it. We gotta watch it now to see how it is. I think it's trying to secure that middle fan base crowd, and not necessarily for the shock value, but like, hey, listen, you can trust us. Come on, look, we're connected. Come on, you want to see a little bit. I think it would have been a better play to have it in the, a secret, right? I thought it would have been a bit bigger shock value. I would have been freaking out more. But this movie has two priorities. Do they, theoretically have a quote-unquote little bit better of a movie because they surprised that? Or did they get more people in the seat to try to keep that middle ground? For them, and I think I'm in agreement with them, they have a bigger duty to keep people in that middle ground and get them, especially after that controversy that we just had.
But I don't think anyone gives a shit about the controversy anymore. I think we're past it. I think once, like when it was going on, it was huge, right? Like, oh my God, you're taking Spider-Man out of the MCU. The second Endgame just finished, and he's back, and he's, and we had Far From Home, which kind of solidified the rest of that an entire arc, and now we need to know what happens next. J. Jonah Jameson just ousted him, and all this stuff just happened to him. Once that went away, and they were like, we figured out a new deal, we're doing that. No one's thinking about that. No, everyone's just like, all right, when is it coming out? I don't think anyone is connecting Morbius to Spider-Man in that way. I think right now we're thinking of, like, if anything that Sony property is connected, it's Venom and it's Into the Spider-Verse. And I think the golden ticket they have is building on that animated universe, which we know there's a sequel in the work. I think this, in a lot of ways, Venom, even though I think Venom has way more of a connection, is, okay, we have a contract we have to fulfill. We have to do something in order to keep this contract going, to keep our money ticket going. You got to remember, too, like a couple years ago, Sony's movie industry was going bankrupt.
But they did want to make this movie. This is not something they did haphazardly.
Yeah, and it was a part of their overall, like, mini movie plan
their
thing.
Spider-Verse, if you will.
Yeah, they were talking about a Black Cat movie. They were talking about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know what the take is. Like, again, Michael Morbius is a darker character. It's an interesting take because they're doing, more of like he has some type of either genetic disease or some type of degrading disease that is affecting his body. So he's testing himself. This seems to me more like we were talking about Man-Bat than Michael Morbius. Michael Morbius doesn't really go through that as much early on in the comics, which again isn't an issue because if you're trying to make the movie compelling and you're trying to make it relevant today,
and
you
update
change
the character,
some things, right? Like same thing they did with Iron Man and it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
But to me, when I watch Spider-Man or I read Spider-Man, the best part about Spider-Man and the reason he's my favorite Marvel character too is it's not gritty and dark. It feels like a comic book. It feels like, oh crap, he's in danger, but this is also fun.
I feel like with him, I see what you're saying because I do feel like Spider-Man can be like that, but I think we have his characters that do have that dark, deep range.
True. That
they're great foils for.
True.
So to have something like this.
And I think Venom is Exhibit A.
Exactly. Yeah. Venom and Carnage.
Carnage is Exhibit A as well.
So this, I think, just further supports, that foil. Like, oh, we have Spider-Man. He's, upbeat and campy. It's a little dangerous, but he's still, like, great to see.
Come on, Spider-Man. Come on, Spider-Man.
And now we get in these darker feels from the other side of the Marvel Universe and the other side of Spider-Man to show, like, yeah, he's happy. But there is some darkness there. And, like, this is dark, but this is, like, Blade Origins dark. Like, it's not that dark.
But that's what I'm saying. It feels dark, but in a faker way. And you're going to have an issue until they either figure this out better or they decide on going a different route. And the way is because you have Far From Home and you have Homecoming, which are very lighthearted teenager movies. They are teen movies focused on teenagers. It's in the MCU. It's Disney. It's, here's your villain in the beginning. Obviously Homecoming had that awesome twist with Vulture and he ends up being the dad. Like all this stuff coming through to now this very kind of more bleak tone. And if you're going to have Spider-Man cameo in this, how do you get that feeling of people liking those movies to go to this darker movie? And I think that's what they have to work on figuring out. Because if they want to include Venom and they're going to want to do Carnage in the next one, as you see in the teaser, and now they're bringing Morbius into the fold, and it looks like they're starting a Sinister Six-esque type of future for these movies. How do you kind of combine those two feels that are completely different feels of film into kind of a meet me in the middle section? That's what I worry for this.
So, guys, that is our review of the Morbius trailer. Let me know down in the comments below what your theory of the next step in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the next step of the Sony Universe. Do you think we're going to see Morbius on the Sinister Six? Do you think that's even Vulture? Maybe just some Michael Keaton as somebody else.
It's just angry, dick-headed Michael
Maybe
Keaton.
he's Birdman from that movie.
That's a great movie.
I did not watch it. I heard it was fantastic.
Great movie.
So let me know down in the comments below.
Let us know.